we are giving it another shot here. Let me just make sure everything is good before we get too crazy. All right. All right, man. So we are here with my friend Ryan Delamater, and he is a church planner and does all kinds of stuff, surfing and clean water, all that kind of stuff. So let me just bring you up here real quick and get you on screen here, man. So here he comes. All right, Ryan. Well, hey, man, thanks for jumping on and making some time for us. I know you got a lot going on with what you're doing. Let me just see if I can share this real quick. Just share this to my page. There we go. We should be good. We should be good. All right, man. Hey, thanks for taking some time. I know you are doing some meetings and all kind of stuff today. So thanks for jumping on, man. You're in San Diego today?
I'm in San Diego today, yeah. I have 4 or 5 meetings, and I'm speaking to a group on the beach tonight. So that should be fun.
Where are you speaking at tonight?
I'm speaking for Andy Cato at Moonlight State Beach at 7:30.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if you guys are jumping on, say hello, leave a comment, let us know where you're watching from. That way we can make sure to know where you're at. I know a lot of you guys, Wednesday nights, you guys are planning services, things like that. And so I know it's a busy night, but I know a lot of you guys are watching this on the replay. So go ahead and still leave a comment where you're at, where you're watching. That'd be awesome. Where we can keep in contact with you guys. So, but Ryan, man, you know, we've been together for a long time. We've, man, 1996 was when we first got to know each other a little bit. And I remember it. I was in high school, and I wasn't really serving the Lord. And I had a lot of misconceptions about what the church was. And some friends of mine invited me to church, and they took me to this building. And they said, hey, it's not the church. It's actually across the street. And we went in there, and we went down these really back alley, pretty scary looking streets or stairwell. And I was like, man, this is like this back alley place. Hey, TJ, man, thanks for jumping in, man. Great to see you. And we walked there, and I'm like pretty scared, like this is back alley kind of stuff, man. This is weird. And we walked into the room. And let me show you guys what I walked into, what I saw on the screen there. So let me make sure everyone can see that really good. So that's what I walked into right there. As I saw this guy right there introducing me and saying welcome to church. And so I felt like I was in a different place than I had thought that I was going to be. But to be fair, let me show you what was walking down those stairs, just to be fair to Ryan here. So that guy right there was walking in there with long hair. We both had long hair. We both kind of looked a little. Now, just to clarify real quick, that's me in a drama performance. I'm not wasn't a hardcore alcoholic as if that picture looks like it. So that was a drama performance, and so we both met that day, and I was like, man, this could be a good match, a lot different than what I thought church was going to be. And so from there, that started this crazy 20-year friendship. So over the last 20 years, man, you've been a surfing buddy, you've been a youth pastor, you've been a church planner, you've been, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a mentor to me, a friend, you're a clean water advocate, you're over the place. Man, thanks for say hello, introduce yourself a little bit. We'll jump into some questions here.
Good to be with you, brother. No, yeah, 1996. That's when I met you. Wow. It's been a ride. You know me, and we're still friends. It's a miracle.
Yeah, we're friends on some days, right? So
Yeah.
so
Friend.
most days actually, yeah. So, but hey, why don't you tell us just a little bit about? I mean, a few years ago, I don't remember. It was about 10 years ago, 8 years ago or so. You went on this crazy journey, rode your bike around most of North America. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that journey, that bike ride, why you did it, what you did, and then also tell us about the book, Ride for Water, and a little bit about it.
Yeah, so in 2007, I went through a terrible divorce. That's kind of my bottom. It was all my fault. I was a mess. And I was introduced at that time to bicycle riding. And I started riding bicycles quite a bit. And so I was living in Ohio at the time, and I finished grad school. And at the end of it, I decided to go on a bicycle ride. And I ended up riding from Port Hardy, Vancouver Island, to St. John's, Newfoundland, from St. John's, Newfoundland, and then from Hudson, Ohio to San Diego, and then from San Diego to Medellin, Colombia. I rode 10,000 miles through 10 countries on my bicycle. It took about a year, and it was an incredible adventure. And about halfway across Canada, a friend of mine suggested, this is in 2010, end of 2010 and the beginning of 2011, a friend of mine suggested that I use my bike ride as a tool to draw awareness to water issues, and I had no idea what he was talking about. So this was before August 14th, 2012, which is the day that Instagram went live. So there's like two versions of world history. There's before Instagram and after Instagram. This was before, slightly before. And out of that bike ride began this journey for me into this world of water that I didn't even know existed. And so the last 7 years now has been a journey from a bicycle ride 10,000 miles through 10 countries to being asked to go to El Salvador to do a water project with a teacher, to ending up taking 112 people to El Salvador in the last 5 years on 8 different trips, to seeing the relationships formed, seeing those relationships that were formed turn into a church. And now, after I've been trained at Saddleback for the last 3.5 years, my wife and I are now establishing a network of churches called Ocean Water. And you can learn more about that at oceanwater.com. That's OCNWTR.com. And Ocean Water does work in areas that have 3 things. 1, they have a documented water problem. 2, they have 20,000 people or less. And then 3, they have no church. And so that's where we're developing a network of churches now. We have 1 in San Clemente, 1 in El Salvador. We've been asked to go to Puerto Rico. We've been asked to go to Indonesia. We've been asked to go to the Philippines. So now in the next chapter, we will begin to scale these efforts. I also wrote a book about my bicycle ride, and you can knock it back in about a short plane ride, maybe a 2 or 3 hour plane ride. You can read the whole thing. And I wrote the book for a niche crowd, a small audience. And every time an author writes, they give their audience permission. And so that's why I wrote this. And this book essentially says to people that are younger, yeah, you should go do crazy things and go learn from it and go try to help people all over the world. So that's why I wrote it. If you want a copy of that, it's on oceanwater.com. You can just click on book. So that's kind of just what we're doing in a nutshell. That's 7 years of life boiled down to a 3-minute explanation online with someone that I've known for 20 years. But there's kind of an overview of what Maria and I are doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, man, for sure. So, you wrote this book. Tell me just a little bit, for those that are watching, what would you hope that they gather from it? What would you hope they walk away from reading that book, inspired to get involved? What would you like them to kind of learn, take away from that?
Well, as a follower of Jesus, I believe in there's life after death, but there's also life before death. And the living starts now and then continues forever. And so the reason why I wrote this was to give people permission to go out and see the world, to do, whether it's by bike or by boat or by foot, and go travel and see the amazing things all the things that God has created, and also to use those travels as an opportunity to help and serve other people. So at the time when I was encouraged to write this, I was actually encouraged by a lot of people before I actually did it. I had several people come to me and say, "Oh, you should write a book." And my first response is, "Wow, that just sounds so stupid. Everybody wants to write a book. That's such a stupid idea." And but after a few years, they wore me down, and I wrote it, and I actually really enjoyed it. So that's a little bit about the book.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you're super passionate about, obviously, you've got a surfboard in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I first met you, you were kind of on track to become a professional surfer, and then gave that up to go into youth ministry. So water's been a big part of your life, but why water for this church, for this missions effort? I mean, there's so many different things that you could do. Why do you think water is the thing? Why is water so important?
Yeah, well, I've essentially bet my life on this, and the bet is this: that water's currently a 1 billion person problem. It'll soon be a 2 billion person problem, because we're going to add another 1 billion people to the planet by 2050. And the current solutions for water, they're not scalable, meaning you can only drill so many wells, you can only do so many point of use systems. And as much as we've drilled wells, and as much as we've done point of use systems like bucket and filtration systems, we can't scale those solutions fast enough to address the real problem. The real problem is the supply problem. And so when you're dealing with 1 billion people that have a problem, and soon to be 2 billion people, you have to change your sourcing solution. So that is what we're doing with ocean water. The reason why we're doing work at the coast is because if you do work at the beach, you're able to source your water infinitely from the ocean. And the economic model is that we privately fund these desal systems at the coast, and then each of these systems will provide water for free for an entire community. Now, this is different than viewing water as a commodity. There are two schools of thought with water. One school of thought is that water is something that you charge money for. The other view is the view that I hold, and both are fine. But the view that I hold is that ocean water is actually a fundamental human right, a free-for-all to drink. And so if you believe, like I do, that ocean water is a fundamental human right that we should make accessible and free to everyone, then the answer becomes, how do you fund it? And the answer is, we're going to be developing a network of churches and private individuals that are going to fund the infrastructure and the operation of these units, so that people can receive ocean water to drink for free. And then with that water, we will not only solve their problem for daily hydration, but also sanitation. And then also with water, you can, of course, do agriculture, and you can grow food. So it also turns out that there's little to no church planting done at the coast. And part of this is a cultural problem. But I understand the cultural side of this because I've been surfing for over 30 years. And with a background in surfing, with a background in public health, with an understanding of where water's headed in the future, and a passion for missions and church planting, we've put all of that together to develop ocean water. So that's what we're currently working on. Those are images there from our website, oceanwater.com. That's OCNWTR.com, and you can see the platforms that we're working on and building for Ocean Water El Salvador. That's a photo for Ocean Water El Salvador.
Yeah, just to walk us through this system a little bit. Obviously you've got some cells up here. You've got some filtration. So just kind of walk us through what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so that's a system built from a shipping container. It's powered by solar panels, and then the inside of that has a basic reverse osmosis system inside of it. RO membranes are membranes that are so small that they can filter out the salinity of ocean water. So these RO membranes take a tremendous amount of pressure to work, and that's why you have to have power. That's quite a bit of power. That's like an 11 to 15 kilowatt system. That system only needs about 7 kilowatts to function. But the usefulness and the cost of solar technology has been decelerating. It's been on a downward trend. So as the cost lessens and the technology gets more effective, we're now able to build self-sustaining systems for a fraction of what they used to cost. So this provides us with an opportunity to privately fund our own systems and have the church be the distribution for it. You know, the church is everywhere in the world, and the pastor, who's normally an indigenous person of these churches and actually knows the culture of the people better than anybody, these systems will be a ministry of their church. So that's useful for long-term solutions. A lot of times people can only use this technology when there's a disaster or some kind of relief effort. And the reason why they can't do those things long-term is because they don't have the people and they don't have the land and they don't have the ability to do that. But if you couple this system with the church, with Ocean Water Church, well, we have long-term staying power because we have a pastor. We have people that are there that are going to live there and be there for a long time. So that's the plan.
Yeah, so just tell us about that model. You know, obviously it's a different model. Churches have long been trying to figure out how to reach their community, how to get involved in the community. So just tell us about that partnership. It's a very unique partnership between you, the water, and the church, and presenting pastors, all that kind of stuff. So talk to us just a little bit about that unique partnership.
Yeah, well, in public health, I have a background in public health, and in public health, you actually realize that there's a correlation between the long-term success of a project and the number of partners. And actually, to the degree that a project has a lot of partners, you can almost predict that the project will be successful long-term. And what we're looking for is long-term scalable solutions. So when we partner with people, it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of different partners, and the more the better. And so we're developing a network of partners on the technology side: solar panels, shipping containers, the desal system, well digging for areas where we need beach wells dug, and all of that is necessary and useful because you have to develop a supply chain, and then once you have your supply chain in place, then we can order these systems and we can scale. And when it goes to pay for it, we need church partners. Christians and churches who believe that ocean water should be made free for all will then have a missional incentive to provide that funding and to use these systems as ministries of the local church. We do work in areas where there are documented water problems. So like in Palmercito, El Salvador, for example, the average resident will spend over 20% of their income on drinking water. 20%. How would you feel if you spent 20% of your income on drinking water? Also, people in Palmercito, El Salvador get a shower for 1 hour a week. An hour a week. They turn the water on, it has enough pressure so that they can take a shower in their home. So we do work where there are documented water problems, where we can go and we can show exactly what the need is. And so there are literally hundreds of beach towns all over the world along the coast that have a documented water problem, that have 20,000 people or less. Why 20,000 people or less? Because typically governments have little to no incentive to provide infrastructure to the small rural areas. So that's why we're going to those areas. And then of course we want to go in areas where they have no church, because we want to provide, we want to see ocean water turned into clean water so that people can experience living water. And ocean water turned into clean water will quench your physical thirst, but clean water that turns into living water will quench your spiritual thirst. So that's the methodology. That's what we're passionate about.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how can we get involved? You know, we've got pastors from all over the place. Not all of them are on the beach. You know, not all of them are near water, you know, fresh water like the beach, things like that. So what do you want for them to kind of take away? How do they get involved? What would you like for them to take back into their community?
Well, we have our first 10 sites picked out, and each of these sites cost approximately $65,000 to put one of these systems in and install it. So what we would like churches to do, and pastors of those churches, is we want a church in the middle of America could adopt Misrata, El Salvador, or Palmercito, El Salvador, or La Herradura, El Salvador, and say, we will sponsor the tools and the technology to make that location happen. And not only will we sponsor that location and raise the $65,000 so that we can provide water for an entire community out of the ocean, and sanitation programs, and water for agriculture to grow their own food, but we will also send our teams there. We will actually send people from our church to that location. So we're looking for people and churches to actually adopt a location. We have a list of the first 10 locations. We've been asked to do work in Puerto Rico. We've been asked to do work in Indonesia. We've been asked to do work in El Salvador. We've been asked to do work in the Philippines. We have the locations picked out. We'd love for you or your church to adopt a location, to raise the funds for that location, and then to send a team to that location, and so we can begin to develop those relationships. And you can find out all of this information at OCNWTR.com. This is OCNWTR.com. We'd love to have you get involved.
Yeah, so are you open for churches to send their teams? You know, if they wanted to partner and take a team out there, is that available, or is it just mainly your team that goes, or
Nope.
church available to go?
Of course, it's totally open to whoever would like to go. We would love to have you. We've sent 112 people to El Salvador on 8 different trips. We would love, and we would be honored if you would love to come with us and meet the beautiful people that live there. They're an amazing, amazing people. Also, if you're not able to go on a trip and you're not able to fund a unit, you're not in the position to do that, we'd also love your monthly support. $25 a month to support the work of OCNWTR.com would be wonderfully appreciated. We'd love to have you get involved that way as well. If you're interested in that, you can go to OCNWTR.com, OCNWTR.com, and just click on Give. You can set up a recurring donation there. We'd love to have you support us that way.
Yeah, that's great. So, you know, it sounds to me like there's lots of ways for them to get involved, lots of ways for them to partner. You know, Ryan, just thank you so much for sharing. Anything else you want to just kind of highlight or point out for us as we kind of wrap up here?
No, thank you, brother. Great to be with you. I'm glad we're still in this. I'm glad we're still friends, and the best is yet to come. Let's keep chipping at it.
Yeah, man, it's all good. So we got to get on a trip together sometime soon. That'd be great.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Yeah, man, let's do it. So, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. And you guys can get involved with all the projects that are going on. I would love to share with you, talk with you, and share how you guys can get involved. So visit them, and thanks for joining us. Remember to share this, leave a comment, and we'll see you guys soon.